in 2025? Absolutely nothing. Just a country where they commit war crimes. Because Russia is a terrorist state.
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 Stop Russia, stop the war.
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 Tribunal for Russian war criminals.
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 And this is why we gather here. Not only for those that they kill every single day. They are bombing our cities. We are bombing their army bases. We are bombing their armories and their ships. They are trying to target our cargo ships. They are trying to target our grain while we are targeting their army planes. Every single day they are committing war crimes. Every single day. Every single day while they are targeting our civilians, we are targeting those who are trying to kill our women and children. I was not born in Ukraine. I did not grow up there. My parents come from the same village. I was always just a guest there. But since the full-scale invasion, I couldn't sleep for more than 6 months. I couldn't believe my eyes. Because I grew up, they say, sports, music, theater, it's out of politics. No! Russian music, propaganda. Russian culture, propaganda. Russian books, propaganda. We are not same people. How many wars have Ukrainians had since 91 and 2014? The number is 0. How many war crimes have Russia committed in the same period of time? And plus those 11 years. You will literally get exhausted counting the amount of countries that they waged war and committed war crimes. But this time, they hit on something that will break any teeth of any creature, any wolf, any hyena, because Ukrainians, we've been fighting. Even our national anthem is about our struggle with oppression, mainly Russians. Imagine a country, a nation, who are born and they are prepared that the Russians will invade. So all that Ukrainians are trying to do, that the first war for Ukraine becomes the last war for Russia, because Russia is a terrorist state.
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 Stop Russia, stop the war.
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 And this is why we gather here. And tomorrow, on VE Day, Victory Day for Europe, there will be a march here, and our Ukrainians gonna march as well. So please, if you see our flags, just know, even for Poland, after the World War II, they say, yeah, you're not fighting for Russians, you're not fighting for Brits. No, you're fighting for your independence. How did that work out for the nations that Nazis occupied and then Russians occupied? For most Eastern Europeans, Vitas is here, Vitaly, lots of Eastern Europeans join us. 1991, the dismantling, the castration of Russia, as they call it, the breakage of USSR into normal democratic countries, how it should have been 100 years ago, is the most precious jubilant day for Latvians, Estonians, Lithuanians, and many other nations. But for Russia, it's such a sad day, because everyone who is occupying that country, they are isolated. They are saying that the Russians are being oppressed. Look at the amount of countries they have invaded and committed war crimes. Russians are not oppressed anywhere. They are the only one who oppress everyone. Who they can get their hands on. Being Russian neighbor and being Russian friend is the biggest punishment that any nation can suffer, because Russia is a terrorist state.
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 And if you ask Moldovans, they will agree. If you ask Georgians, they will agree. At my work next to me, there's a restaurant and a Georgian guy works there, and I told him what we do, and he says, we have different languages. We are quite far away from each other, yet we have the same problems. If they can't affect your politics, they will affect you, how they affect Ukraine right now. This war was inevitable, because the better Ukrainian does as European country, long before, I think it was 2012 or 2011, Ukrainians, not Russians, were given visa-free status in Europe. You want to come and visit? Yes. Russians, they need to pay their way in to democracy, like they are paying into all the sanctions that are on Russia right now. And this is why we gather here. We gather for every prisoner of war, for every child kidnapped that is growing up now, and every single day being told that you were born in Russia. They even gave those 19,500 children new birth certificates, like they did in the 80s in Czech Republic. In Czech Republic, guys, I was born in Czech Republic, yet my birth certificate is in Russian. Do you think this is normal? For Russians, this is normal. Because this is nothing normal about Russians. Because Russia is a terrorist state.
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 Stop Russia, stop the war.
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 Free Ukrainians, prisoners of war.
Free Ukrainian 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 prisoners of war.
And we will gather here until this war is over. For us, peace for Ukrainians is very easy. 1, stop killing us. 2, leave us alone. 3, release everyone who you have kidnapped. For Russians, Putin said when the peace treaty started to be negotiating and ceasefire, not me, not those people that you see here. Putin said, before we have a long ceasefire and short ceasefire on every front, we need, Putin said it to you, have a look online, we need to address the cause of this war. Yes, I agree with him, because of the cause of this war is asking you, please address me. Because Russia is a terrorist state.
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 Stop Russia, stop the war.
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 And this is why every single European country defense budget is going up. This is why less is being spent here, even in Britain, on healthcare and other things, because it's not about if, it's when. Some NATO specialists are saying that Russians producing 1,000 plus tanks and other armored vehicles annually, and with this rate, by 2029, the experts say that they will be on par with what NATO has. So we have less than 4 years. Scandinavian generals are saying the same thing. We have 4 to 5 years when, not if they attack us. I saw this week an old interview, I think it's a few months old interview, with an official from Finland who says, my family was born on the land that is now Russia, that they took over in 1949. And Ukrainians, millions of Ukrainians can say, my children will not be able to live on the land that they took again. Moldova, 20%. Georgia, 20%. Finland, they took a big chunk of Finland as well. Ukraine, they're spending now on 18%, but they want around 25%. Nothing is enough for Russia. And this is why we're here. We are gathering here for the living and for the dead. We care about our living. We mourn those who they have slaughtered. This is why it is so important that we gather here, that we come to fundraisers, that we reach money. Some of the people who are standing next to you woke up around 6 or 5 in the morning today, and they were gathering funds outside Ukrainian churches for 6 to 7 hours just to gather a few £100 to help the army. Support Ukraine and Euromaidan. We gathered more than 1,150,000 in direct aid. We have packed the other week, 25th of April, we packed hundreds of first medical aid kits. We, in last 3 years alone, we packed more than 25,000. With British Ukrainian aid, we sent more than 700 vehicles who are not ULEZ compliant. But while for you CO2 pollution is very important, for us, the only pollution that is prioritized right now is Russian scumbag terrorist presence.